Have you ever wondered what happens after death? What if someone came back saying they saw a nuclear attack on the US and heard from beings of light? The countdown has begun. In this video, you'll hear the shocking story of Madison Brooks, a girl who died for 7 minutes and returned with a warning that could change the fate of humanity. Like, subscribe to the channel, and comment below which city you're watching from. This message needs to be heard. I've never been afraid of the desert. Growing up in Phoenix, Arizona is like living between two worlds, one where the heat suffocates you and another where the silence soothes you. I loved hiking the South Mountain trails at dusk, watching the sky explode in hues of fire and blood. It was a random Friday to March 8, 2023, and I was with my older brother, Jake. We hiked a trail I knew inside out. I brought water, sunscreen, headphones, everything but what I needed. I don't know how it happened. Maybe I was distracted by the birds or the music. All I know is that I felt a sting in my neck, and within seconds, the world went black. My throat closed up. My skin burned. My heart raced so hard it felt like it was trying to burst out of my throat. "Jake!" I tried to scream, but no sound came out. I saw his face contorted in panic, and then I saw nothing. Everything went dark as if someone had pulled a black cloth over reality. I thought I was fainting, but I wasn't. I felt my body disconnect, not like fainting, but like a cable coming loose from the socket of existence. I was swallowed by a silent void, a place where time and air no longer had meaning, but there was something there, a hum, a frequency, a presence. Then a light came on. It wasn't white. It was golden and alive, as if it had blood and intention. It pulsed like a giant heart, and from within it, I heard, "The time is coming." I didn't know where I was, but I was sure this wasn't a dream. Everything was too clear, too intense, as if my senses had been replaced by much more powerful versions. The golden light around me seemed breathe with me, as if there were a living connection between us. I wasn't walking. It was as if I was floating within a vibration, like a musical note sustained in the air. Suddenly, a sound began to emerge. It wasn't music, nor words. It was like a cosmic tick-tock, an invisible clock pulsing inside my chest. With each beat, I felt an indescribable urgency, as if something terrible was about to happen. There were no walls, no floor, but the sensation was of being inside an immaterial temple, made of energy, where everything was consciousness and meaning. It was then that they appeared. 3 beings formed before me, not walking, but emerging like smoke that takes shape. They were tall, faceless, but their bodies radiated light in distinct colors, an incandescent gold, a deep blue like the ocean at night, and a silvery white that seemed to contain all the other colors at once. They didn't speak. They didn't need to. Their presence passed through me like an emotional wave. I cried without understanding why, but it wasn't sadness. It was something sacred, as if standing before what the ancients called the eternal. One of them approached, the one with the blue light, and his touch, though not physical, made me relive all the moments when I was afraid of dying. But along with that fear came a brutal realization. You've died before. You just don't remember. The non-existent ground beneath me trembled with that revelation. And then, behind them, there arose an opening in the fabric of reality. It was like a living screen, pulsing with energy, showing images that seemed like memories of a time that had not yet arrived. The number appeared first, shining in golden fire, 2025. And soon after, the destruction. I saw an American city. I recognized the glass towers and glittering signs, but I couldn't place it. Maybe New York, maybe Chicago, maybe Houston, but it didn't matter. In seconds, everything disappeared. One nuclear explosion, real, violent, filmed by time itself. The fiery mushroom rose as if the sky had been ripped open. The air screamed, and the people turned to dust. "This is one of the possible futures," said the golden being, now speaking inside my mind. I felt my body vibrate, wanting to run away, to escape that absurd pain that seemed to crush me. It was unbearable to see, but I couldn't turn away, as if something bigger was forcing me to look until the end. Then the silver-white being spoke, with the vibration of 1,000 whispered thunders. "The time is not fixed. There is still a chance, but the countdown has already begun. The vibration of that sentence passed through me like a blade of light. I felt like something inside me was being sealed, as if I were being marked inside with a mission I didn't yet understand. I was chosen to remember. The vision wouldn't stop. The more I tried to look away, the clearer it became. I saw the earth as a sick organism, coughing smoke, bleeding black light into the sky, cities in ruins, sirens screaming, children lost amidst the burning concrete. But what destroyed me inside wasn't the chaos. It was the silence after the explosion, as if the soul of the planet had stopped breathing. The images came like waves. I saw people with faces covered in radioactive dust, trying to communicate without voices, eyes wide open, asking for help, but there was no one else listening. An indescribable chill ran through my body. I wanted to close my eyes, hide inside myself, but then something changed. The scene froze. The blue being, standing to my left, extended his arm. From the palm of his hand came a kind of pulsating ray of light that touched the vision, as if it were editing the time. And wings. Within destruction, a second scenario emerged. The same place before the collapse. I saw secret meetings taking place, cold offices with people dressed formally, world leaders discussing with tense, nervous expressions, decisions being avoided, peace proposals being shelved, human pride inflating like a balloon about to burst. But in the midst of all this, I began to see points of light turning on inside ordinary people. It was a mother with her child in her arms, praying silently. It was a young activist in front of a parliament. It was an elderly indigenous man in a trance in the middle of the forest. It was a boy with autism playing the piano in a trance. These points of light began to multiply, and each time this happened, the visions of destruction weakened. The silver being approached from behind me. I could feel the vibration of his consciousness touch my spine, and inside me he spoke. There is a number, a tipping point, a critical mass. Then I saw an impossible image, a cosmic counter, a kind of gear made of stars and numbers, floating above the earth. Each time someone awakened to love, to truth, the counter advanced. And when he approached a certain number, the timelines began to merge, that of the apocalypse and that of hope. When that number is reached, destiny will change. But if it isn't, what you saw will happen, first in the United States, then in waves around the world. The earth was shown to me like a giant heart, and I saw that she feels it too. She also cries, and her pain is linked to ours. Every lie, every cruelty, every indifference bleeds the planet's spiritual field. I started to cry, but it was a different kind of crying. It wasn't fear, it was the pain of remembering, as if I knew, on some deep level, that I'd lived this before, as if this future was not only possible, but something that I myself had come to prevent. It was then that the words came back like an ancient echo. The time is coming, and this time, I understood. It was now. It was with me. It was with all of us. I floated in that space between worlds with a certainty I had never had before. This was real as my own existence. What they showed me was not a metaphor. It was not symbolic. It was a possible tomorrow, a spiritual warning of cosmic proportions. And at the heart of that warning was a call, a whisper that was no longer just theirs. It was mine too. The golden light, which seemed to be the oldest and wisest of the three beings, stepped forward. It had no face, but its presence was unmistakable. As it approached, I felt as if I were standing before it, of the origin of everything, mother, father, universe, essence. She was love in its purest form. That's when I heard, not with my ears, but with my soul, you weren't chosen because you're special. You were chosen because you accepted to come with an open heart. And then, I saw myself before I was born. I saw a room made of liquid stars. There were many souls, like seeds glowing in the dark. I was one of them. And there, before assuming this body, this life, something was proposed. A mission, a silent contract. I felt my soul say, yes. And that's how I was born as Madison Brooks. You agreed to forget. But now, you're remembering. That broke me down inside. I always felt displaced, as if something inside me was out of time. I'd always had strange dreams, feelings of déjà vu, premonitions that no one took seriously. And now, it all made sense. I wasn't crazy. I was waking up. The blue light showed me another scene. Millions of voices trying to speak and being silenced. People like me, with urgent messages, but who were afraid. People who saw signs, who dreamed of wars, explosions, dark futures, but kept everything to himself out of shame or disbelief. That's when the truth hit me like a lightning bolt in the chest. The mission is to speak, even if no one believes you, even if they mock you, even if you're afraid. I saw my own image and already back on Earth, sitting in front of a camera, trembling, with tears in my eyes and a racing heart. I didn't say, "I know everything." I said, "I just want you to listen, because if it's true, we can still avoid it." I saw faces watching. Some laughed, others cried, but a small group remembered. One by one, their minders were emerging. Ordinary people from all corners of the world. A teenager in Ukraine, a woman in Ethiopia, a priest in Chile, a child in Japan. Each one received pieces of the same message, and all of us, without knowing, we were connected. "When you speak, the vibration will spread like spiritual fire," said the silver being. Not to convince, but to activate what already exists in others. I understood in that instant. The world doesn't need new religions or gurus. It needs spiritual courage. It needs the awakened to speak, even with trembling voices. Time is in suspension, waiting to see if we remember in time. And it was then that the golden light touched my chest. Something was sealed in me, a code, an ancient symbol made of pure light. It spun inside my heart, like a star clock, marking the time that remained. You will remember, even if the world tries to make you forget, because the time is coming, Madison. When that seal of light was imprinted on my chest, I felt as if thousand-old memories were trying to emerge from within me, as if my heart had become a living library. The vibration was so strong that I trembled, not from fear, but from something much greater, recognition. Time around me began to bend. Everything spun in silence. And then, before me, 3 timelines emerged, each floating like ribbons of light in space. The golden light explained to me, without words, just with presence, humanity stands at a crossroads, and all 3 possibilities already exist. What's missing is choice. A first line was dark, cut by explosions, by stifled screams and a constantly red sky. It was the future of war, the one I had already seen. With the nuclear attack on the United States serving as the trigger, I saw the city's name flash by. But the light went out before I could understand it clearly. I only caught the beginning of the word. See, a second line was different, slower, full of gray areas. There was no war, but also there was no real awakening. People remained stuck on autopilot, in cycles of ego, fear, competition, polarization. It was a sick earth, one that didn't explode, but rotted in silence. Along these lines, I saw empty people, connected to screens and completely disconnected from themselves. A third line was impossible to describe. It was like see planet Earth shining from within, as if each human being were a fragment of an incarnated star. I saw schools teaching wisdom instead of competition. I saw world leaders being guided by spiritual counsel. I saw scientists and healers sitting at the same table. The technology existed, but consciousness had once again guided progress. All these lines already exist, but only one will be chosen. And the decision point is now. I felt an immense weight fall upon me. A 16-year-old girl, seeing the future of the world in everyone's hands and, at the same time, carrying the responsibility of being one of the voices that could influence the course. The blue light placed its energy hand on my forehead, and in that instant, all lines collapsed into a single image, a large planetary clock. It floated above the planet, made of pure energy, and its hands were seconds from midnight. The time of neutrality is over. Now, every human action generates a ripple, and every ripple feeds a timeline. I began to feel like my mind couldn't take any more. My soul felt like it was burning, as if it were being stretched to contain too much information. But the silver being held me. I heard its whisper, "You are not alone. Many are waking up, but you need to be one of the first to scream into the dark. The world needs to hear before the sound of the clock is swallowed by the explosion." Then everything went dark once more, and when the light came back on, I saw the earth, but in a new way. She was surrounded by 2 opposing forces, a dark spiral that wanted to swallow her, and another, made of points of light gradually joining together. forming a network, a living network. This network is the reminders, and it is incomplete. I saw faces emerging, thousands, of different ages, languages, cultures. Some were crying, others were singing, but all remembered. The mission was now clear. I had to wake up these faces, one by one, even if it takes the rest of my life. The golden being enveloped me once more with its light and said, "For the last time before the fall, you will be our voice where the light has not yet reached." Because the time is coming. The light that surrounded me began to slowly fall apart, as if the sky itself were fading away, cell by cell. But before it disappeared completely, something inside me snapped. A sound, like a silent thunder, echoed in the depths of my soul. It was the vibration of separation. I was being called back. "It is time to return," said the blue being, his voice made of feeling and eternity. I felt the vibrational field around me compress, as if all that spiritual vastness was closing in on me, pushing me, condensing me back into human form. And it was in that exact moment that I understood what had changed forever. I wasn't just Madison anymore. I was the bearer of a calling. When I began to fall, not with my body but with my consciousness, I saw particles of light coming off me, as if they were being left behind. A deep sadness passed through me, not out of fear, but out of leaving that place that it was more home to me than any house I had ever known. Before I completely passed through the veil, I heard one last phrase, but this time she came from me, from an older version of me, a version that seemed to come from far away, from outside of time. "Don't forget, even when everyone says it was just your imagination." So, everything went out again, but this time, the darkness was dense, heavy, full of gravity and flesh and lungs trying to breathe. A second later, it was like falling off a cliff straight into a collapsing body. I opened my eyes with a scream stuck in my throat. My lungs burned. My hands shook, as if the world were collapsing inside me. The desert sky was above, blinding, and faces all around me were screaming my name. My brother, Jake, was crying, completely out of his mind. A paramedic was giving me chest compressions. I had stopped for 7 minutes. Dead. Clinically dead, but I didn't think about that. What invaded me was something else. A brutal absence. A deafening silence. The feeling of having left something behind that no longer fit here. At the hospital, I was told I'd gone into cardiac arrest caused by a severe anaphylactic reaction. "You were lucky, Madison," the doctor said. But I knew it wasn't luck, it was permission. The days that followed were the strangest of my life. Everything around me seemed artificial, as if the world were slightly out of focus. People spoke to me, but I heard sounds beyond the words. Unspoken sadness, hidden fears. It was as if my senses had been opened to a parallel reality. In the mirror, I no longer recognized my own eyes. They seemed older, more conscious. But along with that came something else. The weight of what I saw, the fear of forgetting, and the urgency, as if time was screaming inside me. "The time is coming, Madison. Speak. Remember. Awaken." The first night I was home, I dreamed of the light clock spinning over the earth, and the hands were seconds from midnight. After that night, sleeping was never the same. I closed my eyes and saw not only dreams, via coded messages, ancient symbols, unknown cities and people I've never met calling me by name. I would wake up in the middle of the night, panting, with my chest burning, feeling an invisible pressure pushing me somewhere I didn't yet fully understand. During the day, I tried to act as if everything was normal. I woke up, brushed my teeth, answered messages on my phone, but inside, something screamed nonstop. It was like carrying a flame in your chest, a living, suffocated light that struggled to get out. People around me noticed something strange, even without knowing what it was. My parents said I was more quiet, distant. My friends stopped inviting me out. At school, the hallways seemed full of zombies. Everyone stuck in the same empty conversations, the same petty dramas. And there I was, walking among them, knowing that I saw the end of the world with my own eyes. But what consumed me most was the silence, because even though I had returned, even though I was breathing, I couldn't speak. My throat closed every time I tried to count. It was as if something was testing my courage. An invisible force challenged me. "You saw it. What now? Are you going to shut up or are you going to burn?" I thought about writing, But every time I tried, the words escaped me, until one night, unable to sleep, I went to the kitchen to get some water. The TV was on, low volume, a newscast. The word, nuclear, appeared on the screen. My body froze. It was a debate among analysts. They discussed growing tensions between nations, military movements, and the possible breakdown of international agreements. And then, like a shot, the images came back with a vengeance. The mushroom fire, the disappearing buildings, the silence that follows death. I dropped the glass on the floor. I sat on the kitchen floor, trembling. And at that very moment, the flame inside my chest exploded. I got up, went to my room, turned on my phone's camera, and sat on the edge of my bed. I stared at the screen for almost 2 minutes in complete silence, and then I started talking. If you're watching this, you might think I'm just a confused girl, but please, hear me out. I died, literally, for 7 minutes, and when I got to the other side, I saw what was coming. My voice was shaky, but it wasn't fear. It was true trying to pierce the veil of disbelief. They showed me the future, an attack, here, in the United States, an explosion so powerful that time stopped. But they also showed me something beyond, something that could still change everything. I spoke for 23 minutes, no script, no cuts, just truth, as if this was my only chance to scream before the world went to sleep. I ended the video with a phrase that it didn't come from me. I felt it being breathed into the depths of my soul. The time is coming. If you're listening to this, it's because there's still time. And when I pressed the button to stop recording, I knew my mission had begun. In the first few hours after posting the video, the silence was deafening. No likes, no comments. It was as if he'd been sucked into a digital black hole. I felt a chill in my stomach. I considered deleting the whole thing, pretending it never happened. But something stopped me. That inner voice, the same one that guided me on the other side, said, "The seed has been planted." And then, in the early morning, he began to move. First one message, then 2, 10, 50, 100, from places I couldn't even pronounce. People saying things like, "I had the same dream, but I thought I was going crazy." My 8-year-old son drew an explosion and said he needed to warn the world. I died during surgery, and also saw the earth being engulfed in fire. No one ever believed me. The words crossed me. It was as if each message was a new beat in the heart of the network of rememberers. And it wasn't just adults. There were teenagers like me, children, seniors. A 12-year-old boy from Texas wrote, "I saw the bomb fall while I was sleeping, but I also saw people shining lights on the ground." A woman from California told me via voicemail that she had an NDE at age 33 and saw a map with the same points of light forming in the US and Europe. He said he was afraid to tell me for 10 years, until he heard my voice. And that's when it hit me. I'm not the only one. I never was. I was just waiting for others to light up too. I created a new channel, separate from my personal one, called The Last Awakening. The Last Awakening. It was a place to gather these voices, these dreams, these visions, and what started as a rough 23-minute video turned into a beacon for the forgotten. In less than 2 weeks, we received more than 20,000 reports. Many had details too similar to be coincidence. The presence of beings of light, the warning about 2025, the clock is almost up, nuclear attack being the ignition point, the chance to turn it all around. If enough people woke up, the pattern was clear, and even those who didn't believe in NDEs began to feel something strange in the air. Ordinary people said, "Something is coming. I don't know what, but I feel it." But along with the awakening, resistance came. Aggressive comments began to fly. People mocked, calling it a farce, a delusion. One man said, "It's just a disturbed teenager wanting attention." But I was no longer shaken, because I knew every attack was fear trying to silence the truth, and the truth was echoing. Small groups began to emerge, one in Canada, another in Brazil, 2 more in Germany and India, all with different names, but the same purpose: to remember, exchange dreams, tune frequencies, protect the inner light. The vibration was growing, and something told me that this phase was just the beginning, because deep down in my chest, the seal still pulsed, and the phrase repeated itself over and over: "The time is coming, but there is still time." As the weeks went by, The Last Awakening channel stopped being just a repository of testimonials and began to become something alive. It was as if, by bringing those voices together, we were activating an invisible network of consciousness that crossed borders, languages, and beliefs. People started reporting the same signs, even on different continents. Wake up at 3:33 in the morning. Dreams about clocks, explosions, beings of light, sense of urgency, soft voices in sleep saying, "The time is coming." But what scared me most, and at the same time confirmed everything, was when the shadows began to show themselves. One of the first signs came from a girl in Colorado. She sent me a desperate message. "Madison, ever since I told you about my dream, my room has been freezing cold at night. I hear whispers in the dark. A shadow is watching me. I feel like something wants me to stop." Another report from Argentina said, "I was hit by a car the day after filming my video. I'm fine, but something tells me it wasn't a coincidence. I felt like I was being followed before. I started to notice a pattern of silent attacks, accidents, insomnia, feelings of persecution, people who reported NDEs with the same message of light and a dark future, then reported psychic pressures, suffocating nightmares, inexplicable blockages. It wasn't paranoia, it was spiritual warfare. I began to feel it myself. One night, I woke up suffocating, with the room plunged into an absurd density. There was a presence in the dark corner, standing still, watching me. I couldn't see a face, but I felt a vibration that told me, without words, "Stop, shut up, you've gone too far." I froze. I wanted to scream, but my voice wouldn't come out. My whole body trembled. Then I remembered the symbol engraved on my chest. I put my hand there, closed my eyes, and thought, "I am light. I have been sealed by the truth." That shadow retreated. The next day, I opened the Remembers group. I told them everything. Within an hour, dozens of members reported the same kind of experience that week, all at the same time, as if something had realized that the network was growing and wanted to destroy it before it was too late. It was at this point that Daniel, a spiritual therapist from Oregon who also had an NDE and guided us in the group, wrote something that stuck with me. "The shadows know the plan. They feel the seal. They know the time is coming, and they fear that humanity will wake up in time." These words spread like wildfire. It was there that I understood. The closer we get to the truth, the more it tries to be silenced. But I also noticed the other side. The resistance of the shadows is the sign that we are on the right path. The war was not just for the future of Earth. It was a dispute over who will tell the story before it happens. And I knew, inside me, engraved in the seal of light, that this battle was about to reach its climax. Because 2025 was already turning the corner. The light that had previously enveloped me began to pulse more slowly, as if it were saying goodbye. I felt something was being shut down, like the last chord of a sacred song, but not with sadness, with purpose. The three beings stood before me, the golden one in front, the blue one on the left, the silver-white one on the right. They didn't speak, but they said everything. Their vibrations coursed through me like waves of pure meaning. I was no longer just Madison. I was living memory. The seal of light on my chest glowed brightly. Each beat was like a cosmic bell ringing, reminding me, what you saw is not to be feared. It is to be remembered. Once again, the celestial clock appeared before me. It turned slowly, and I realized that the hands didn't mark time as we know it. They measured consciousness, choice, frequency, and then I understood. Real time is not linear. It is vibrational. It does not drag us. It waits. The earth appeared again beneath me, hovering in space, still enveloped by the two forces that had been revealed before, the dark spiral of destruction and the living network of light, formed by awakened souls. The two moved in parallel, but increasingly close to colliding. And then something happened. The sky opened, and even greater light has dawned, not as a flash, but as the revelation of something that has always been there, hidden behind the veil of human perception. A light that seemed to contain entire galaxies, civilizations, mysteries beyond all understanding. It was the source, the origin, the all. From it emerged a frequency that it does not translate into words, only into memory. A memory so deep that it made me cry like a child rediscovering his own soul. I heard, In the absolute silence of the light, you remembered. Now, take the memory with you. My spiritual body began to be pulled back, not violently, but with loving gravity. It was time to return, time to carry what I saw to this side. Before everything went dark, I saw the faces of the three beings once more. They were clearer now, their outlines dissolved into space, but their presence would be forever engraved within me. It wasn't goodbye, it was an activation. And then, in an instant, the light was gone. The sound of the material world returned as a muffled explosion. The density of the body, the heaving breath, the weight of flesh, the taste of salt and sand in the mouth, voices, screams, the world. But something in me did not return completely, because a part of me still lives there, in that space of light where the future is a possibility, time is a living being, and the awakening of each soul is a spark against the darkness. Today, the seal still pulsates, not as a spiritual ornament, but as a constant reminder. The time is coming, and the time is every time someone decides to remember. If you enjoyed this beautiful spiritual testimony, please leave a like, comment, share your impressions, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell to watch each new video and help us spread this message to a greater number of people. Until next time.